Good afternoon. Welcome to Heritage Hills Live. I am Dr. Teray Dixon. I'm moderator today, and I'm here with Asita Duncan at Heritage Hills Law. We are here today to go over our estate planning burgers so you can know how to have it your way. I'd like to introduce Asita Duncan and give her a moment to tell you a little bit about herself and Heritage Hills Law.
So my name is Asita Duncan. I'm an estate planning, estate administration attorney. I've been practicing for over 22 years. So through my firm, we are a boutique planning firm. We serve individuals and families in Maryland and the District of Columbia.
Thank you, Asita. We have been doing this now. This is our third month going live.
Yes.
We are here every fourth Friday of the month, here live on her YouTube channel here at Heritage Hills Law. And we go over various topics, any questions that you all may have that you can submit online on our Contact Us page at her website, www.heritagehillslaw.com. Or you can join us here in the chat and put your questions here on the chat while we're here live. Today, like I said, if you saw some of our promos, we had a big, juicy, delicious burger on our on our little promo for today. And we thought we might switch it up and do a little bit something different today and build a burger. And so this little nice statue here is our estate planning burger, and you see all the different parts. We have a removable bun here, and this is to demonstrate all of the different features, all of the different components of estate planning that helps you make it your way. Your estate plan is all yours. Each one is unique to each individual, and we have Asita here to go over with us some of the different components of estate planning. So, should we get started?
Sure, but just a little bit about the burger. So, my 14-year-old daughter designed this burger in class. So, just want to shout out Celeste Duncan, her beautiful burger, which we will be using to demonstrate estate planning today.
Excellent, and it is a lovely burger. I don't know if you all can eat this burger. I know I would not be able to eat this burger at this stage of my life, but it looks delicious. So as I said earlier, all of these are different components that can go into estate planning. Each one is individual to you, and we're here today to go over some of those definitions to help you learn more about estate planning. All right. So our first term is will.
Yes. So most people have heard of that term, a will. And so for some people who have what we call a will-based plan, that may be the meat of your burger. And so a will, let's keep in mind, it's a written legal document, and it appoints who will be the personal representative. That would be the person that will carry out your wishes. And within your will, or within your burger, so to speak, you'll state what you would like to happen to your assets upon your death. So keep in mind, a will is effective at your death. And it's your will. So just like this burger, you can have it your way and you can customize it.
So have you heard of, here's a question. Can folks do their own will?
Of course, yes, you can.
Written on a piece of napkin in a smoky restaurant. Can you do your own will? Like, what is that?
Technically, yes, you could question, quote, some people will find a do-it-yourself method and do it themselves. But if you're going to do it yourself, not that I'm recommending, so keep in mind, I'm not recommending that you prepare a legal document yourself. After all, that's why we go to law school and we, major in this type of area of the law. But a lot of people want to save money. And I've said in the past, maybe this shouldn't be an area where you should save money, but I get it. But if you do decide to do it yourself, at least pay a consultation fee to have a lawyer like myself look over it to make sure it complies. Because yes, you might save money on the front end, but then it could be a headache for your families in the end.
So what if I don't have money to do a will?
We have money to do those things that we want to do. So if it's important to you during your lifetime that you acquired the assets, then it should also be just that much more important for you to make sure it's left behind properly. Because after all, why collect the assets if you're just going to, halfway handle your affairs upon your passing?
Mm-hmm. A lot of people come to you who are already in probate. Could we avoid probate?
Yes. So there are a lot of ways to avoid probate. One of the big ways that a lot of people hear, and I get a lot of calls about it, can I have a revocable trust? And yes, you, just like this burger, you can have a revocable trust. So a revocable trust is one of the popular probate avoidance tools that is often used. It is also a written legal document that we prepare. It is complex, a little more complex, like this burger is a complex burger. That plan is complex, in which we state what should happen to your assets during your lifetime and upon your passing. You can also be the trustee of your own trust. And if you're ever incapacitated or upon your passing, a new trustee steps in your shoes and start managing your assets without the need of probate. But keep in mind, only for those assets that are actually in the trust.
So you mentioned trustee.
Mm-hmm.
Can you give us some tips on how to pick a good trustee? Or what are our options for a trustee?
So trustee is in the name, trust. So it should be somebody that you trust. So normally for most of us during our lifetime, we are the trustee of our own trust. But then we have to think, who would step into my shoes? Who do I trust to step into my shoes? So if it's somebody that you know, like a family member or friend, it should be somebody that's already handling their affairs well. Somebody that you trust, trustee, somebody that you trust. And also, if your estate is like a big Wagyu beef or Angus that's very sophisticated, you may qualify to hire maybe a law firm to be your trustee or a corporate trustee. There's banks, there's CPAs and attorneys that will step in and serve as your trustee.
So what if I have a granddaughter who I love dearly? That granddaughter is my heart, and she is always coming around to help me with all the things I need done around the house. But she does have a little bit of trouble balancing her checkbook, if she even has a checkbook. Would that person be a good trustee? What do you think?
No. Like I said, it should be somebody already handling their affairs well, and that they won't have an inclination to put their hands in the cookie jar, so to speak.
Burger jar right here. All right, so there is something called a pour-over will. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So our pour-over will accompanies our revocable trust, because of course we never want to have to use this little fella here, the pour-over will, but sometimes life happens and we forget to add an asset to our trust, or we forget to designate a beneficiary. So our pour-over will, so keep in mind, anything that passes through our pour-over will go through probate. And we wanted a trust because we wanted to avoid probate. But if we forget, this pour-over will take that piece of asset, whatever it is, through probate, then it will pour it into our trust.
Ooh, I might need something like that because I'm always forgetting things.
And it's normally the cars that we forget to do something with, or that financial bank account that we haven't looked at in years, and upon our pass, our family realized, forgot to add that. So then it has to go through probate.
That life insurance you signed up for on your job that you totally forgot about, that was given to you as part of your employment package.
Or your first federal government job that you got right out of college and you never did update you.
Shout out to those federal workers right now who are going through some things. Our heart goes out to you. So speaking of those bank institutions, life insurance, tell us a little bit about transfer on death.
So transfer on death is a great option. So for a lot of our financial accounts, insurance policies, and even for the District of Columbia, we can actually name beneficiaries for financial accounts, brokerage accounts, insurance policies, bank accounts. So make sure, I like to tell people, look at it at least once a year. Make sure your beneficiaries are designated, because if you have these designated as a transfer and death option, then it passes upon death. I will also shout out for my DC residents who are out here. You don't necessarily have to set up a revocable trust if you don't want to, because you can actually name a beneficiary with the recorder of deeds. So that's also a transfer upon death deed option. If it fits into your estate, then that's a great option. So we also talk about beneficiary designation. So that can be on any, you think about most financial accounts, you can do that. Also for my Maryland residents, we have the MVA. You can make a designation for your car, and you can do that right at home from your computer. You don't even have to go to the MVA and make an appointment. You can designate a beneficiary. As well as for my DC residents. DC, sorry, there is a form for you to designate a beneficiary for your cars. DMV. So you can't do it from your home, but it makes it easy, because a lot of times it's a personal cars that ends up in probate.
How often should you check on your beneficiary designations?
So I like to say when life happens. So whether there's a marriage, there's a divorce, there's the birth of a new child, changing of jobs, financial situation, as well as at least look at it at least once a year to make sure it says what you think it says. Be surprised. Some people think that they put beneficiaries' names there and they are not there. Or they haven't been updated. I mean, we've heard stories where the ex-wife or the ex-husband has come in and received everything because they were still listed as the beneficiary.
Wow.
And it's nothing that a lawyer or a court can do to overturn that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Let's talk a little bit about advanced directives.
So we are moving into the medical realm. So when we think of advanced directives, we start thinking about healthcare. So what happens if I'm ever in a health crisis? And I can't speak. Who speaks for me? I mean, I might not want my granddaughter speaking for me. Mm-hmm. She may or may not be good. She might just want to pull the plug because she know you leaving her everything. But so with the advanced directives, and you probably heard the term living will or healthcare power of attorney. With these written legal documents, you get to say who can make health decisions on my behalf if I'm unable to. And you get to make health decisions in advance, i.e. advanced directives. So you're giving advanced directions of what should happen if you're ever in a certain medical crisis. So basically this document, if it is executed according to whether you're a Maryland or District of Columbia resident, it speaks for you. Our goal, of course, here at Heritage Hills Law, that you put these documents in place just like you have car insurance, but our hope is that you never have to use them.
And unfortunately, we've had some medical issues in my family, and noticeably on admission to the hospital and, inpatient rehab centers, they will ask you for those documents. Mm-hmm. So that's a good time to really make sure that this paperwork is together for yourself, your family, to make those tough decisions. It's really hard to make those decisions in the moment. And it's nice to have those conversations ahead of time, mm-hmm. before emotions and worry set in a moment of crisis. And it's also very interesting. Tell us a little bit about what that looks like for college kids.
So for college kids, a lot of times we don't think about the young people in our house because we birthed them, we raised them, they're our kids, and we get to say what happens to them, no matter what age stage they are at. But keep in mind, once your child turns 18, they are a separate, living, human being adult. So they get to say what happens to them. So if you don't have these documents in advance, keyword, it's interesting that we call them advanced, because you want to really do it in advance. So as soon as your young people turn 18, there are adults. So I do encourage my clients who have adults, children, that they should put those documents in advance in case their child is in a crisis, because their child has the right to say whether I want mom or dad to speak or what I would want to happen if I'm ever in a health crisis.
Even if you don't see your children as adults.
Yes, they are adults. And they can say, I don't want you in the room.
Once they hit 18, all bets are off for the parents. But, luckily we have great lawyers and attorneys like Asita Duncan who can really help us think through these weird situations that you probably would never even cross your mind to discuss with your family or your kids or put these things in place early on. So speaking of our young kids, let's talk about power of attorney.
So great. So with power of attorney, we're thinking more financial. Can I make financial decisions on behalf of another person? And this goes for young people, married people, single people, anybody 18 or older. Just because it's your child, it's your boo-boo, it's your boy, you cannot walk in and make financial decisions on somebody else. You actually have to give that person the power, the authority to do it in advance. And luckily, we have that ability to do it with the financial power of attorney. You can give somebody that you trust the ability to make financial decisions on your behalf. Just like choosing a trustee, the person you pick as your financial power of attorney should be somebody who's already handling their finances well, and that you would trust them to step into your shoes and make financial decisions, pay your bills, file your taxes, and the like.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's also interesting that we keep bringing up those 18 and older. So estate planning can really be across the lifespan. Maybe talk a little bit about what young adults would need with estate planning in addition to power of attorney and the healthcare proxy.
So I would say with our young adults, we want to get them started right off the bat on the right foot with planning in mind. So their planning, just like when you're ordering a burger, would look different than someone who is more older, more mature, and have more assets. For them, we may do a will, we may do their financial power of attorney, and we may do their healthcare power of attorney, as well as making sure that they have beneficiary designate on all their financial accounts. And for my young people, they're investing online. They have Cash App. They have all of these type of apps. So for my young people, I would say, look at the apps. Some of the apps actually allow you to name beneficiaries on it. So those monies that you're investing and using all these apps, and you have stores online, that you can even name a beneficiary so those monies can pass to who you designate without having to go through probate.
So that's you mean my Etsy store selling T-shirts? I can put my beneficiary on?
I say check it. Some of them, like Cash App, just started doing it. Some of the ones that you can purchase stock and stuff allows you to do it. So I say review the policies and figure out what happens. So I'm digging it. What happens to the money that I still have in these apps? How does my family get access to it? So it's a question, especially our young people who are more into that technology-driven, moving money, exchanging money, earning money, that they should be aware of how someone would be able to access those funds.
Right. So my estate planning in my 20s looks very different from my estate planning in my 30s, looks different from 40s and 50s and so on.
Yes.
So how would that relationship look like with you over the years if I started with you as my estate planning attorney at 25?
So if we start at 25, depending if you own any assets or anything at that time, we would just start out with a straightforward plan, making sure that like I said, your beneficiaries are designated, make sure you have identified somebody to be able to make medical and financial decisions on your behalf in case that's ever become necessary. And making sure that we account that if you do own anything, it transfers easily and that people are aware of what you own.
And then when I make changes, what happens? When I want to make a change, what happens?
That's easy. So we can make updates as long as you are live. That's important. And that you have capacity. You can make changes. You can make changes throughout your plan, and your plan can start in your 20s, around 25 or even 18, and it can grow and change with you.
Mm-hmm. with those major life events
Yes.
too. That's a good time to check.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And this is Women's History Month. Are we still in Women's?
Yes,
March
we're still in March. We haven't hit April yet. We have a couple more days before April.
So I know you feel strongly about working with women in their estate planning. Tell us a little bit about that.
So, sorry, man, you can close your ears, but I do work with men too. But statistically speaking, if we look at statistics, women, whether we're married or not, we typically outlive the men in our lives by several years. So a lot of times we end up inheriting the whole family wealth. So we should be aware of the finances of our home, whether we are a stay-at-home mom, whether we're working, whether we're a business leader, CEO, C-suite. You should be aware of what's going on financially in your home, and you should feel confident enough that you have a say-so and that you can impact what happens next. A lot of times, whether we're married or not, we may say, oh, that's not, I'll just let, handle. And if something happens to our male companion, then we're running around trying to figure out and piece stuff together. And then we realize he has spent all of his debt, and then it impacts us, and we're just like frenzy. Like, no, we cannot do that. We cannot do that. And it's interesting. We own a lot of real estate. We own a lot of wealth. We are making, like I said, we're making history every day. And we have a say so and should say what happens next.
Right. That's very important. Okay, I think this is our last piece of our burger, estate planning burger, letter of instructions.
So this is very important because we think about all the components that make up an estate plan, but then we're all different. We're all unique. Like, we don't go into the restaurant and order the same type of burger. Some of us may be vegetarian. Some of us may like beef. Some may like turkey burger. So the same way. So all the things outside of having a will or trust, you may have specific things that you want, and it wouldn't be appropriate to put in a will or a trust or your powers of attorney. So that's where letters of instructions come in. So you might have that favorite song that you want played at your funeral. Maybe you don't want to have a funeral. Maybe you want to be cremated. Maybe you say, I don't look good in red, so you bet not bury me in red. So that's where the letters of instructions, as well as you would not, we all know a will is a public document. So if we might have that, a lot of financial accounts, you wouldn't want to put that information in your will. So in your letter of instructions, you might outline all the accounts that you have, all your beneficiaries and all of that. So that information would be private in the form of a letter to whoever who would be in charge. So yeah, we're all unique, and we might have different little things we want to say to our loved ones, and a letter of instruction is the best place to leave
I like that. Leaving a note for your
Yes,
loved ones.
yes.
That's nice, and that helps give some closure, I think, to the ones that you leave behind. So you're saying, if I want my body or my ashes thrown into a volcano,
Okay.
and I want my family and friends to hike up to the top of that volcano and leave me there and say a few words, I need to put that in my letter?
Yeah, you should put it in the letter. Keep in mind, a letter of instruction is not legally binding. So if for some reason your loved one figure out legally you can't dump ashes in the volcano, But if they could, yes, that would be a perfect place to leave it. I will say some people also put their in the life planning and their health care powers of attorney or the advance direct. So that's one place. It should be put someplace that somebody would read if you were ever get sick or upon your death. Some people think of the will, but a lot of times your will is not read until long after you have passed. So it should be placed in a place, whether we put it in our healthcare power of attorney or advance directive or a letter of instruction that somebody is likely to read upon your passing. And then I will also say, disclose. It's good to have that family meeting and actually talk about your estate plan. we want everybody to get comfortable with talking about it. That's why we use the burger example. You should feel as comfortable as ordering a burger, customizing your burger, as well as talking about your estate plan. It has to be a topic that we can sit around the kitchen table like we're doing today and talk about it, because if it doesn't become common among us, we're going to continue to have those messy fights, and a lot of wealth is wasted.
Yes. Messy fights, disappointment,
Yes.
hard feelings, when we really should be celebrating the life of those who just left us.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, we have come to the end of our burger presentation, and if you all have any questions, please send them on the contact us page on www.heritagehillslaw.com, or you can also join our YouTube page. You can like and subscribe this video and add comments to it later on. Our live streams are always posted a few days later after we have a live event, so check for that if you missed us today. Put us on your calendar. Every fourth Friday of the month, we will be here at noon on YouTube on at Heritage Hills Law website or channel, I'm sorry. And we'll be here streaming live, answering your questions as you put them in the chat. You can also submit questions ahead of time, and we can answer those questions here for you live. No pressure, no sweat, very general and information that we like to share here with you all. We are also on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. We do Facebook posts, Facebook Reels. So make sure you check out Asita at Heritage Hills Law on those social media platforms as well. Anytime we're doing stuff on YouTube, we also try to post it here a few days in advance as a reminder. So if nothing else, thank you all for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. YouTube likes us to have lots of subscribers. So if we have more subscribers, we can do more things. So please make sure you subscribe. And thank you.
And thank you. And give a thumbs up for Celeste Burger.
Yes. Our artist in residence. All right. Take care, you all. See you next month.